The tears haven't come yet, but I know they will soon. And it's hard to believe that it's been a year tomorrow since we lost my mom. It was a sudden loss. We didn't expect it. And thankfully, when she passed, it was really quick. She literally just went to the ground and went from this world into the next. And honestly, I couldn't think of a better way to go when I go. When I know that she's whole and I know that she's home. But it's been a hard year in many ways. But one of those aspects that I am so grateful for is that in the midst of this real season of trial and loss and family readjustments and trying to fill in the gap, the huge gap that she left, and I would even say she was one of the greatest encouragers and cheerleaders that we had. And not having her here, there's no replacing that. And so I try to remember and cherish a lot of the things that she told me over the years. Maybe the tears will come now. Here's the thing, guys. What I'm grateful for is in this last year, the closeness that this season of grief has brought for Rachel and I. That wouldn't have always been the case. I think back, Rachel and I had this conversation years ago when we were in a bad place. We would not have been able to lean into each other. We would have been more misunderstanding each other, and this would have been just like the catalyst for even more misunderstanding. And here's the truth. We talk to people all the time, and they are, they get on the phone with us and they say, my husband lost his parents, or we lost one of our kids a couple years ago, or my wife, she lost her best friend, or we could go on and on about all the different scenarios that people have gotten stuck in grief, and they believe getting on the phone that the problem was the grief, when in reality, grief wasn't the problem. The problem was that there were fissures already. There were cracks in the marriage. The marriage wasn't where it could have been or should have been. And when people grieve, let's be honest here for a minute. Men and women, they grieve differently. And unless you're allowing room for the other person to grieve in their own unique way, plus not to mention male and female, but just the unique personalities, and unless you're allowing room for the other person with an understanding that they're coming at it from a different way, and unless you're dealing with grief even as a team and giving that person some space and really even asking those deeper questions of like, what else could be going on behind the scenes for them, it is an opportunity for things to completely fall apart. And such that people all the time will believe that it is the grief or the loss that has caused these rifts within my marriage, when in reality it's the band-aid covering the wound. It's like you're trying to put a band-aid on it. It's the wound, but underneath it is what the real problem is, what caused the wound. And so we believe and we know, and in fact, I say this to our clients all the time, it's not the grief that's the problem. It is the fact that you've not been able to get on the same page. And honestly, to grieve as a couple, to grieve as a team. And unless you have that skill in place, and unless you have the understanding, and unless you can come together as a team during those seasons of grief, it will feel like guys are going the other direction. So again, grief is either going to bring you closer together or it's going to drive you apart. How many times have I talked to people that have lost a kid, lost a couple of children, and I can't even begin to imagine what that's like, or other situations that have been just trials. And they believe because it feels like and it looks like and there's evidence in front of them to think, well, it's these things that have happened, when in reality they weren't a team to begin with. So if you're out there today and maybe this holiday season you're thinking about, something that you're maybe facing right now, or maybe there's still something from 6 months or a year ago or years ago that you've not really been able to clear out of the way, and it feels like this is that catalyst for disconnection between the two of you, and you're feeling like, how do we even move forward? How do we even get over this? What I want to recommend to you is that you check out our master class, the 5 shifts that Christians make to turn their marriage around quickly. And really, it's about starting a process of really deeply understanding each other, developing communication, really understanding that God has uniquely made your spouse differently in the image of God. And when you can come to the table with a more clear understanding of what they need, and obviously this isn't going to solve absolutely everything, but it is going to be the start of the path of transformation for you. So go to turnaroundmarriage.live, check that out. And if you're realizing that after seeing that, we got to get things on track and we want to get on the same team in our marriage, you can go ahead and book a call with us too. But guys, I want to encourage you with whatever you're facing, the Lord will meet you there in the midst of it. And when that season feels like it's you guys are on opposite pages, you're probably both hurting. And when you can understand with a sense of empathy to some degree and really also learn what it is the other person needs, it can really change the dynamics very quickly. Hope that helps. And be patient, be gracious with one another.